Hey guys, welcome to our keynotes. In the previous video, we have seen how to fetch the records from Microsoft SQL Server into Visual Studio Console application. All right. And then we have followed the 5 steps using a connected architecture, which means we have used SQL data reader. Fine. And then we have used execute reader method for that. In this video, I want to demonstrate the disconnected architecture. So for that, we're going to use DataSet here. Okay. So if you see the source code over here, it is very simple. Again, I'm going to have the same namespaces like using system.data.sql client. And if you see in the page load, this is going to be a web application. Okay. By this code, you can understand that. So in the page load, uh, I'm just going to have these 5 steps. So what I'm going to do is that first I'm going to create a SQL connection, and then we know that we need to pass the 3 things, that is the SQL Express instance, and then the database name, and then the integrated security. That is, we have to mention it as true. You can mention it as false or SSIT or whatever. So generally we prefer to have the security feature enabled. Fine. So we mention it as true. So this is the first step. The second step is here. I'm using SQL data adapter and then creating an object for that. And then I'm writing the select statement over there. Fine. So basically this SQL adapter will act as a bridge between the data source and the data set. Okay. So here, dataset, I'm creating an object. It is a class. So basically dataset is collection of tables. And what happens is that we can fetch the records without connecting the database. For example, for the first time, we need to establish the connection with the database. Now, what happens? Now, data adapter will fetch all the records and then it will fill the data set with the data. Now, the data will be stored in the data set, which means it is a kind of inbuilt memory. For example, it will get stored in our local machine as a data set. So whenever we fetch, we require, uh, whenever we need a record, we can fetch it from the data set directly, not from the data table, means the database table. Fine. So that is why we can call it as disconnected architecture. But the thing is that we will not get the updated records. If you need to get the updated records, at the moment you need to establish the connection, and then we will, get the fetch the updated records and fill it in the dataset again. And from the dataset, we can fetch the records. So it is something like that. So now I'm going to use a grid view for that to display the tabular data. So I'm saying grid view dot data source equal to, I'm passing this data set. So in this data set, we have the records, right? And then I'm binding all the records, means the row and column, and I'm just going to display the records. So let's quickly do this. Let me just take this code over here. Then I'll just show you how to create this application for you. Fine. So let me create a new project. As I said that it is going to be an ASP web application. And then I'm saying framework. I need to go with ASP.NET web application, .NET framework, say next, and then web app db demo. That is my project name. And then say next. Let me choose an empty uh, project and create. And then I'm going to use the same SQL database like demo and tbl demo. So here I need to create a web form. Let me create a web form, add, and then select web form. For the first time, you should go to new item and then there you have to search for a web form if you are doing it for the first time. Okay, say web form, click OK. Now here in the div tag, inside the div tag, I'm just going to design. I need to get the toolbox. So that is grid view. We need to get drag and drop. So standard, and you can say, let's say grid view, and then drag and drop. That's it. So now let's go back to the code behind window. So for that, you can press F7, the shortcut, or else you can right click on the web form and then go for this option, view code. Okay. So here I'm just going to paste the code which I have just discussed in the PPT. All right. Now you can see that this inside the page load method, I have just kept this code, SQL connection, and all the required stuffs, and then SQL data adapter, and then the data set, which is disconnected architecture, which follows getting it. And then I'm filling the data set, and then I'm binding the data with the grid view, and then it is getting displayed. So now if I run, and we will get the output in the browser. So if you see, okay, here you can see that these are all the column names, and we have two records, and it is getting displayed here. Now, if you see, I didn't perform any sort of server connection over here, right? This is just for managing. What if I just delete this part, and then if I try to run? So are you sure you want to remove database connection? Let me say yes. And then I'll save the application. And then if I say, uh, if I execute it, let's see what happens. Still, it fetches the record for us, right? So as I said, that this is just for our understanding. Like we can manage all the table creation, database creation, insertion, deletion, and all the process over here in Visual Studio itself if you connect your Microsoft SQL using these options, data connections, getting it. So either ways it works. And that's all. This is about the disconnected architecture. If you use dataset or data table, then you have to understand that we are using some sort of inbuilt memory where initially for the first time the connection will get established, and then it will fetch all the records, and then it will fill it in the local data set, means in the local memory. So from there we will be fetching all the records. Fine. So that is how disconnected architecture works. I hope that you understood this. If you have any queries, do let me know. I'm there to help you out. Try this and let me know if you have any queries. If you like the video, hit the like button. Do subscribe my channel. Thank you, and thanks for watching the video.